Hello and welcome to the audio notes for the Colorado Symphony concerts February 20th through 22nd, featuring music by Mussorgsky, Shostakovich, and Rachmaninoff, three Russian composers that all have a little bit of a Ukrainian thread running through the concert. We're going to dive in right away with Modest Mussorgsky. He was born in 1839, died in 1881, was a Russian composer of the late Romantic stylistic era. He's mostly influential as a member of the Russian composers group nicknamed the Five, or the Mighty Handful, and was known for hyping a Russian national music identity independent from some of the established practices and traditions of Western European classical music. Mussorgsky was especially interested in Russian folktales and national history, and elevating the work of other Russian artists. Case in point, Sorochyntsi Fair is based on a short story of the same name by Nikolai Gogol, a Russian author of Ukrainian origin. Some highlights about the music. Sorochyntsi Fair is a comic opera in 3 acts, which Mussorgsky wrote between 1874 and 1880, but he didn't finish it before he died. The libretto was also by Mussorgsky. It's based on Nikolai Gogol's short story from the collection Evenings on a Farm near Dikanka. The Gopak or Hopak music is a lively Ukrainian folk dance which has been elevated into large-scale art forms, including opera, ballet, and theater. Mussorgsky's Gopak has been orchestrated and arranged for many different ensemble combinations in addition to full orchestra. And you can even find a Rachmaninoff solo piano arrangement recorded and made into a piano roll. This music is utterly delightful and passes by so quickly you won't have time to blink before it finishes. A typical performance is just under 2 minutes. I dare you to yell encore loudly and long enough. Maybe the orchestra will play it again for you. There are videos on the website of the Gopak and of the Rachmaninoff piano roll transcription as well. Now, I did mention the little bit of a Ukrainian thread running through this program, even though it's all Russian composers. So first we start with music based on a Ukrainian author's story set in Ukraine and expressed through an up-tempo Ukrainian folk dance. Now, you might think this is a stretch to include in these notes, but it would be a serious missed opportunity not to highlight the multicultural punk band Gogol Bordello, who were inspired to name themselves after Nikolai Gogol because of their shared interests and activities. Nikolai Gogol introduced Ukrainian culture into Russia, and Gogol Bordello's mission is to bring Romani and Ukrainian music into the English-speaking world. So here's a super nerd fact for you. The original name for the band was Hutz and the Bela Bartoks, but the band leader, Eugene Hutz, said that they decided to change the name because, quote, nobody knows who the hell Bela Bartok is in the United States. So that's kind of womp womp for us and Bela Bartok, but yay for Nikolai Gogol. I have a great video of their Tiny Desk concert, NPR Tiny Desk concert from 2010 that is just joyously unhinged on the website. It will actually really wonderfully set you up for the Shostakovich Piano Concerto coming second on the program, believe it or not. Dmitri Shostakovich was a Russian composer and pianist who lived from 1906 to 1975. He achieved early fame at 19 years old with his first symphony in 1926. He and his music fell under intense scrutiny by the Soviet government, however, which led to his creation of music that satisfied political watchdogs as well as what he called his, quote, desk music, work that he kept hidden away in a drawer in case it might fall afoul of the authorities. Shostakovich remains one of the most influential composers of the mid-1900s with 15 symphonies, multiple works for piano, an astonishing 15 string quartets, 3 operas, 3 ballets, numerous film scores, and 6 concertos, including concerto in C minor for piano, trumpet, and string orchestra. I have on my website about an 11-minute video interview with Colorado Symphony principal trumpet and soloist for this concert, Justin Bartels, on the Shostakovich Piano Concerto, including some, really nerdy side treks into how many trumpets he has and some of his evolution as a performer. So you'll enjoy watching that. Now, about the music, Shostakovich composed Concerto in C minor for piano, trumpet, and string orchestra in 1933 when he was just 27 years old. The concerto was premiered that same year with Shostakovich himself as piano soloist on the season opener concerts of the Leningrad Philharmonic. Shostakovich originally intended for it to be a trumpet concerto, then decided to add piano to make it into a double concerto. But as he was composing it, the piano part became more and more prominent, such that the only real sort of fully realized double concerto representation is primarily in the final movement. So, I joke, but the title really could be Concerto for Trumpet and Piano, which evolved into Concerto for Piano with a pretty big trumpet part. But that's kind of long. So I guess the official one is okay. Whatever. Piano, piana, I guess. The concerto is in 4 movements. Allegro moderato, which is medium quick. Lento, which is slow. A third movement, moderato, quite short in a medium tempo, acts a little bit as introductory material to the final movement, Allegro con brio, which is quick with spirit. There is barely any pause or silence between the second movement, lento, and the third movement, moderato. And the third movement, moderato, elides directly into the fourth movement, Allegro con brio, so it can be a bit confusing for first-time listeners who are trying to keep track of each movement as it goes by. Rest assured, though, the very quick and manic sounds of the fourth movement are enough of a distinction from the moderato material preceding it that it will definitely be obvious. Now, if you're into hunting for, Easter eggs, there are plenty of those in this concerto. Shostakovich includes musical quotes from his own works and from a variety of other sources. You'll hear quotes, if you listen carefully and you're into finding these things, you'll hear quotes from Beethoven's Appassionato Sonata, Beethoven's Rage Over a Lost Penny, Rondo, Edvard Grieg's Anitra's Dance from Kyra Gent, an excerpt of the slow movement of Mahler's Third Symphony, Haydn's D Major Piano Sonata, Paul Hindemith's Kleines Potpourri from Kammermusik, and even a folk tune, O du lieber Augustin. That last one is hiding in very plain sight in the solo trumpet during the last movement. And in case you're wondering what the tune is, you can enjoy the rendition played on piano by the world-famous duet Mickey and Minnie Mouse in the 1929 cartoon While the Cat's Away, which, of course, as you can guess, I have included on the website. A typical performance lasts about 25 minutes. You'll also find on the website videos of a live performance with Yuja Wang, and even a very interesting historic recording of Shostakovich as a young man playing the very end, the last 2 minutes or so of the concerto himself, which is just fantastic to have, but it's too bad that it's only the last 2 minutes. If you are a super trumpet nerd, you will enjoy Michael Sachs, the principal trumpet of the Cleveland Orchestra, in a video talking our way through the concerto, the highlights of the concerto, and playing a few excerpts on his trumpet as well. So enjoy all of that. Now, back to the nerd alert about the Ukrainian thread running through the program. Dmitri Shostakovich's music has become a symbol of resistance to the 2022 Russian invasion of Ukraine with his works, and particularly with the Leningrad Symphony, interpreted as anti-war statements. His 13th Symphony, Babi Yar, explicitly commemorates the Nazi massacre of Jews in Kiev, while some advocate boycotting Russian composers during this time. Others view his art as a critique of state oppression. So that's one sort of Ukrainian thread there. Another one that is super nerdy and very specific to these concerts is that trumpet soloist Justin Bartels' wife is Ukrainian. And last but certainly not least, playing the last movement of the concerto definitely feels the way many Gogol Bordello songs sound. And so just a reminder to listen to or watch the link at the website of Gogol Bordello to prepare yourself for that experience of the Shostakovich piano concerto. We're going to move now to the last piece of music on the program by Sergei Rachmaninoff. This is his Symphony No. 2. Sergei Rachmaninoff was a Russian pianist, conductor, and composer who lived from 1873 to 1943 and primarily wrote in a late Romantic era style, even as he lived during the Modernist era. He's best known today for his piano and symphonic works. Rachmaninoff left Russia after the revolution there, immigrating to the United States in 1918, first living in New York and finally in California. He spent the majority of his time traveling and performing as a soloist, but managed to compose in short bursts when he could. It was during one of these short bursts that he composed his famous Symphony No. 2. Rachmaninoff composed Symphony No. 2 in 1906, finishing it on New Year's Day 1907, and revising it a few months later in April of 1907. He took nearly a decade to return to symphonic composition after critics and audience alike resoundingly panned his first symphony, some even comparing it to the biblical plagues of Egypt. Symphony No. 2 was an instant success, however, and the psychological boost Rachmaninoff needed to continue prioritizing composition, even as he made most of his living performing concerts on piano. In its original form, Symphony No. 2 is about an hour long. However, many versions with various cuts have been performed and recorded so that it is commonly heard in 45 to 50-minute versions, and there's even one version which is only 35 minutes. Rachmaninoff dedicated Symphony No. 2 to his composition teacher at Moscow Conservatory, Sergei, who himself had been a student of Russian composer Peter Ilyich Tchaikovsky. Pretty impressive lineage there. Still, the fact that Taneyev was among those that had severely criticized Rachmaninoff's first symphony makes this dedication all the more interesting. Perhaps the dedication is a respectful nod to grit and determination, or even a middle finger to the harsh criticism from before. After all, Taneyev called the first symphony melodies flabby and colorless, and said that nothing could be done with them. Gee, thanks, coach. Symphony No. 2 is in a 4-movement structure typical of the late Romantic era. A fast first movement preceded by a slow introduction, a very fast second movement, a slow third movement, and a blazing fast final movement. In each of these movements, Rachmaninoff includes material taken from the opening slow introduction, which gives the listener a thread to follow through the whole work. Symphony No. 2 remains one of Rachmaninoff's most popular compositions. A typical performance today lasts anywhere from 45 to 60 minutes. So back to that Ukraine connection, Sergei Rachmaninoff had strong personal and professional ties to Ukraine, frequently performing in cities like Kiev and Kharkiv during his career. He was also a co-founder of the Kiev Conservatory, now called Pyotr Tchaikovsky National Music Academy, back in 1913. He was well known and is still well regarded by Ukrainians for his support of Ukrainian musicians and culture, and Kharkiv has held international festivals dedicated to his music. I hope you enjoy this program. It's a really wonderful mixture of music from beginning to end, and the Shostakovich being in the middle is just an incredible romp of a piece of music. It's a great concert. It will definitely cap off a very, very busy and amazing run through a lot of Russian music that we've had over the past few weeks. And I hope to see all of you there. Thank you so much.